Hey, this is Notser, and I want to talk about something that has been recently discussed. Wargaming, Wargaming RU to be specific, has teased that the Kage is going to be a premium ship coming soon, whatever that means, and the Kage is going to be a tier 7. Now, I've got a little information on the screen. Tier 7 Kage, it's what you would expect. It's okay speed. It's got some self-protection and secondaries, AA guns, and aircraft. The Kage, I think the Kage participated in Pearl Harbor. I think that is the case. And obviously, it's a tier 7, so it is going to be in competition with the Saipan. And I think that's deliberate. I think they deliberately did that to make sure that there wasn't any funny business with aircraft carriers and anything like that. But let's face it, the Japanese are a better platform. They will succeed far more than the American aircraft carriers. And Wargaming commented that, oh yeah, we're not going to be releasing this until we're satisfied with, we're not going to be releasing any premium CVs until we're satisfied that they have been addressed, fixed. Well, guess what? You haven't really done anything, so this tease is a little premature, I think. Like, I'm happy that you plan on releasing an aircraft carrier, but I'm a little surprised that you would even consider it without first putting in the aircraft carrier changes. So, you know, whatever makes you happy, Wargaming. Now, here are some pictures that exist on the aircraft itself. It's green, and it has a giant rising sun on the deck. That is something that the Japanese did do, as crazy as that sounds. Yes, they actually painted a giant red circle on the deck of aircraft carriers, and it assisted, absolutely, it assisted American dive bombers. It was an easier target to aim for. They knew exactly what they needed to do. So the green, I like it. It's a forest green, and it's deep in color. I think it's a good-looking ship. I don't know how well it'll play, because I don't know how much of the CV changes are actually going to come in. But that's just the nature of the game, right? What would I want from it? Well, I would want it to give me a chance to experience something different than what I get with the Japanese or the Americans. What would be different? Well, maybe a larger squadron for the Japanese. The Japanese have slightly different dive bomb characteristics, torpedo characteristics. That might be interesting. Maybe, you know, where the Saipan is tier 9, maybe they do the same sort of technique, and then, of course, you just have a massive expansion in power level, which is, I mean, you don't really want to see that. So maybe instead of the Kage having tier 9 aircraft, it's going to have lower tier aircraft and more squadrons. So you're going to die a lot quicker, but if you get drops on targets, you will be doing tons of damage. I just don't know. The aviation is rated at 90 aircraft. I mean, that sounds like a normal inventory for a tier 7. I don't really know. This is a tier 8, the Shokaku, so it's like, yeah. What do you think? Are you interested in the Kage at all? I mean, I know there are very few people who actually play aircraft carriers now because they've just been sort of crappy for a very long time. But also, you've got to deal with the potential bad UI controls. The American aircraft carrier is pretty weak, tier for tier. They've taken away a lot of its teeth, and people can build extremely strong anti-aircraft builds. So it makes it really frustrating in that regard. But beyond all the things that people can do, the UI needs to be improved. It needs to be more responsive. It can't make slight errors with drop location, drop angles, none of that. You can't do that. You just can't do that. It's just too difficult to deal with. Whenever you are playing a game, the last thing you want is that game to have a sort of quirk or a bug related to controls, because it feels bad. The reason why Battlefield, Battlefield. The reason why Battlefield had an issue before they improved the refresh, the server refresh, is because it just felt sluggish. It felt like you would go around a corner and you would be shot, right? Blizzard doesn't really have this issue with their games, and I think Overwatch had that, but they've addressed it with faster refresh. So controls are extremely important. You don't want mistakes. Mistakes end up costing you dearly, and I just don't know why they're going to do this. If they intend to put the aircraft carrier changes very quickly, I still think it's too abrupt. If we had the aircraft carrier changes right now, I still think it's a little too early, because we don't really know what changes need to stick, what else needs to be improved. I personally feel, and I know a lot of my fellow North American community contributors feel, aircraft carriers are very far away from being viable, successful, playable. They have a lot of issues beyond UI, beyond control. The loadouts are weird. Japanese are just straight up better. Is the Kage going to get a unique loadout that's just straight up better than the Saipan? I'm sure many people who play the Saipan would not appreciate that. I feel like the Saipan's pretty cool. It uses high tier, low amount of aircraft. It's got the 2 torpedo bomber squadrons, which I like. Maybe they go for the Kage being an American version of an aircraft carrier, and that would be terrible because Americans are just bad right now, but maybe they do that. Since the Saipan is very close to, well, at least one loadout is close to a Japanese loadout, maybe they do that. I don't know. I will, of course, be playing it, testing it, making sure it's viable. I don't have any problem playing Japanese aircraft carriers. My problem stems from sometimes the games are very slow. They don't really develop quick enough in order for the viewer to really enjoy it. So, plus the game, do you really need a premium aircraft carrier? You can train your aircraft carrier captain in any premium, and that feels pretty awesome, right? I think it's so much better than what we have with World of Warships. World of Warships is like, World of Tanks. World of Tanks is like, yeah, you're going to have to buy that tank destroyer, that German tank destroyer, and you're going to have to only use exclusive tank destroyer captains or crew. Oh, by the way, sometimes that tank destroyer doesn't have enough slots for training all your crew, so you're going to have to do some janky stuff too. Yeah. World of Tanks is very old in its UI, and the garage and the depot stuff, it just feels really archaic at this point. World of Warships feels great. The thing that World of Warships needs to improve is aircraft control, encourage team play, probably try to discourage premium vessels and ships being the only viable option, tier for tier. I do appreciate that a premium is at least competitive against a tier 10, like a tier 8. But what I don't appreciate is when a premium is the only solution to a problem. That feels really weird. In World of Tanks, these premiums would never see top tier. Imagine if the Kage was a tier 7 and it never saw tier 9s. It only saw tier 8, 7, and 6. It would have to be weaker because it's going to see a weaker spread. Obviously, it doesn't exist in World of Warships, but I just give an example. So yeah, the Kage. It's an interesting looking ship. I have no idea exactly what it's going to bring to the table, but it's going to be a premium Japanese aircraft carrier. Supposedly, this is a sign that they are comfortable with the aircraft changes. If they're announcing it now, maybe they know something that we don't about a change in particular that made it feel better. I would be very excited to see the UI in its new state, whatever that new state might be. I'm really hoping that it will control similar to the StarCraft 2. If you're familiar, I just want it to be crisper. I just want it to feel better. Aircraft carriers should be in every game. They are a vitally important aspect of World War II naval combat. And the stories are so fascinating, having to deal with aircraft, having to protect your ship, protect your convoy, and it just feels so lackluster in this game. So let's see how the Kage works out, right? I hope this was interesting seeing the Kage. I wish there were more pictures. They don't really, I mean, this is the problem. If you're playing a premium, you don't really get, especially aircraft carrier, you don't really get to appreciate the unique camouflage or the ship lines itself because you see it from this point of view. You're way above combat, and it's really awkward if you care about visual fidelity or just any sense that you're getting something other than stats on a page. That's what the aircraft carrier feels like. I would hope that they could do something, maybe an action cam that would automatically show the drop and maybe a replay as they're retreating. I don't know. It would be interesting. I feel like they need to do a better job of making the aircraft carrier feel like an action position. It just feels like, I don't know, it's like fleas fighting or something. It's so far away, the explosions are so insignificant from my point of view that I don't feel the fear or the joy quite like being down there in the trenches as a destroyer, as a cruiser, as a battleship. That stuff just doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist. So yeah. Wargaming stated they would not release a premium aircraft carrier unless they felt like the aircraft carrier changes were going to fix the problem. Apparently they do feel. We have no idea how long it's going to be before this comes out, but I'm going to guess if they tease it now, we might see it in end of April, May. That's the target window, I think. Maybe even June. May, June is what I think. May is probably a good target. I just don't see the CVs being improved by May. I wanted to. I want them to badly. I want to finish what I've started. I'm tier 8 in both. Playing the American aircraft carrier is so bad. It's so bad. It feels so bad. So yeah. Kage. I hope you all enjoyed the particulates of talking about the Kage, maybe. I mean, it's a famous ship. It participated in some important conflicts for the Japanese and, of course, World War II. And for that, I'm sure many people will take it. Plus, it's a part of the superior aircraft carrier fleet. I will test it when I can. I will share my thoughts. I wouldn't say I'm a bad aircraft carrier captain, but I'm not a great aircraft. I'm serviceable. I think that's a good term for my play. I try and get better. You can see in this game, I was trying to get better. I was bottom tier, which sucks. And that's one aspect that I really think they need to address. I don't think a bottom tier aircraft carrier should be punished quite as hard as it is with the AA protection. I know as a top tier, you feel like you shouldn't have to deal with aircraft as much, but it just feels really crappy. There needs to be some sort of, maybe the damage doesn't scale high, but maybe the protection decreases the accuracy based on the tier difference. I don't know. Just something to give it a little bit more of a chance, you know. So you're telling me there's a chance I could actually do something. It's sort of the discussion RNG versus no RNG. When there's no RNG, you feel like, why even bother? There's nothing I can gain from this. When there is a chance, even an insignificant chance, that you might succeed, you're more willing to take that risk. You're more willing to pull the ship or the aircraft. That's really what they need to try and recapture with some of the aircraft play that just doesn't really feel like it exists there. It feels like I'm going to get stomped whenever I'm low tier. I'm going to get stomped when I'm an American aircraft carrier. I don't think the Kage is going to suck. I think the Kage is probably going to be completely broken. It'll be great for tier 7. Tier 7 is not going to happen in ranked play for a while. They sort of move them around, so you're not going to see this in ranked probably until the end of the year if they go back to it that quick. I mean, yeah, it's the Kage. I hope this was interesting. I hope the game in the background was fun. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.